Hey, it's Mr. John at the Decatur Public Library. And I don't know if you realize it, but in the children's department, and especially in the nonfiction, the true books, we have some really odd books. Books about really unusual topics that maybe you've never even thought to be curious about. So for today's book talk time, I'm going to introduce you to some books that we have that are, well, about all kinds of interesting things, some of which maybe you have never even thought about before. Let's start with, well, something disgusting. This book is called Spider, Tizers, and Other Creepy Treats. Did you know that in some places in the world, people eat spiders? Not because they're starving and not by accident, but because it's a regular part of their diet. So if you're interested in finding out where they do that and how they cook them and what they taste like, well, you might want to look at this book. Did you know that in some places in the world, kids can't get books from a library that's like the Decatur Public Library? This book is called My Librarian is a Camel. And it's all about how kids all around the world in different places get their books in different creative ways. For example, in the country of Indonesia, which is made up of lots and lots of islands, kids get their books off of a book boat. This book is illustrated with lots of great pictures, so if you're interested in learning about that, or to find out where in the world kids get their books brought to them by camel, you might want to check this book out. Now, I don't know about you, but ever since I was a young guy, I have loved the Star Wars movies. But have you ever wondered where Star Wars started? Who invented the Star Wars stories, and how did they become so popular? Well, if you're interested in finding out about that, this book is a good one to look at. It's part of the Our Favorite Brands series, and this one is all about Star Wars, where it came from, who invented it, and how it keeps growing and becoming so very popular. Maybe you are interested in really big things. Well, if you are interested in things like that, this book would be a great one to look at. It's called How Big Is It? A big book all about bigness. And through very clever photographs, the authors show us how really huge many different things are in the natural world compared to things that we already know about. For example, if you wanted to know how big a reticulated python is, that's a very big snake, here's a picture of just such a python as if it were going up an escalator and down the stairs at a shopping mall. Pretty cool book if you want to learn about big things. Or maybe you would like to learn about things that are super small. This book that's brand new at the library is called Small Matters. And in it, the authors use a very fancy microscope called a scanning electron microscope to take pictures of really, really tiny things and show us how they work. For example, in this book, you can see magnified many times over the belly of a snake and see all the tiny little ridges that enable the snake to move so flawlessly across the ground. Maybe you are interested in ancient times. This is another brand new book we just got at the library called Lost Cities. And with beautiful illustrations, it takes us around history and around the world to show us the splendors of some ancient cities that were lost in one way or another, like the city of Herculaneum in Italy that was covered by the volcano Vesuvius. All kinds of interesting stuff there. Or maybe you are more interested in things fantastic. Then you might like this book, The Atlas of Monsters and Ghosts. So it tells us with maps and pictures all about different creatures that people have believed over time from different places around the world. Creatures like, the abominable snowman or Bigfoot or the Yeti and all kinds of other creatures that you and I have probably never heard of before. For example, it tells us that in the Congo in Central Africa, there's a lake where people have said for many centuries there has lived a creature they call the Mokole Mpembe, which looks very much like the Loch Ness Monster, an atlas of monsters and ghosts. Now, as you are traveling about, you want to be careful what you do in the natural world. This book is called Never Smile at a Monkey, and 17 other important things to remember. There are all kinds of things in the natural world that are dangerous, and if you do them, then you might get in trouble. For example, if you smile at a monkey, well, I'll let you read the book and find out what might happen to you if you smile at a monkey out in the wild. Or maybe you, like me, were fascinated even as a child with Egyptian mummies. Maybe you wondered, how did the Egyptians treat those mummies so that they stayed preserved for thousands of years in those pyramids? Well, you might like this book. This is part of the You Wouldn't Want to Be series called You Wouldn't Want to Be an Egyptian Mummy. Disgusting things you'd rather not know. And with very clever cartoons, it shows you and tells you how the ancient Egyptians prepared those mummies, how they took out the internal organs, and how they wrapped them in cloth with all kinds of different things to preserve them, and how they buried them, and what they buried them with, and even what other people have done with mummies in more recent years since they have discovered them. All of these really interesting, odd, unusual books. You can find links to all of these books in our library catalog with the link that you'll find below this video. Or just come in sometime to the Decatur Public Library and let us know what you're curious about, what you're interested in. And chances are good we will have a book to help you explore it, even if it's really odd. Thanks, and we'll see you at the Decatur Public Library.